They say fingers was made before forks, you know.
Over the years, 81-year-old Ellen Eldridge has built quite a reputation behind the lunch counter at a small general store in Tamworth, New Hampshire.
And he wants cream cheese and olive.
In fact, her cream cheese and olive sandwiches are renowned throughout New Hampshire's White Mountains.
They always say slap your toast, it lets the air out. That's what I learned a long time ago.
But lately, the octogenarian is receiving a lot of attention for her talents outside of the kitchen, for posing with only a paintbrush for the month of July. What did you think when you first saw your picture in that calendar?
I thought I looked like an old hag.
Margot Maller and Annie Provenzano say they got the idea for the Women of Tamworth from a British calendar featuring older women in the buff, which raised money for the Leukemia Society.
We had been talking about the Ladies of Rylestone calendar and just kind of joking about, wouldn't it be fun to do that here in Tamworth?
So they approached more than 24 women, including Ellen Eldridge, with an unusual proposal.
They said, we thought about doing a calendar, naked women, and I said, They said, what do you think about it? I said, I think it's a hell of a good idea.
The end result is a calendar featuring 13 women, if you count the cover, of various ages, burying themselves in a series of tasteful and beautifully done black and white photographs. Provenzano took all of the pictures except for the one which appears in the month of August.
I figured I wouldn't expect anybody else to do something that I wouldn't do, for one thing.
Any reservations about the town's reaction were eased when the calendars hit the shelves.
To give you an idea of the response, in a little over 2 weeks, they've sold about 1,000 copies of the calendar. That's not bad for a town with a population of about 2,500.
The Women of Tamworth is now in its third printing.
It's a wonderful calendar. They did a great job on it.
If they're raising money for a good cause with that, I think it's fantastic.
In fact, 2/3 of the profits go to local charities. And so far, the Women of Tamworth has donated more than $4,000. Word of their Bold Bear project is spreading quickly. Randy Robinson drove more than an hour just to buy a copy for a friend.
I'm sure it's proper and everything. Right.
Have you looked through it all yet?
No, I haven't every sight unseen.
I hope that they look at the woman's body as beautiful for what it is. And it's kind of summed up by what a friend once said to me, is it's all about hearts, not parts.
Ellen Eldridge is proud to pose nude at 81.
I had all the sags and the wrinkles, but I earned every one of them.
Greg Navarro, NECN, Tamworth, New Hampshire.
They asked me if there was something I'd like to do, and I said, yeah, I'd like to do Death of a Salesman.
Cope Murray's Tamworth, New Hampshire home is filled with mementos from a long and distinguished acting career.
And that's my wife. Who's also an actress.
But the 71-year-old's most recognizable role is a brief bit he did last year as Mr. December, wearing only his lucky hat and a smile. Cope says the critics were merciless.
My sister said to me when she saw the calendar, she said, you didn't expose enough.
Cope and 11 other males are featured in the increasingly popular Tamworth Men in Hats calendar, a collection of tastefully done photographs of a dozen locals burying themselves for charity. It comes on the heels of the hugely successful Women of Tamworth.
We just figured we had some momentum going with the women's calendar, and what else do you do? You know, men.
Mr. September, also known as Howard Trask, says the experience of posing with his 5-month-old son was very special. He says the conditions on the day of the shoot were not.
It was real buggy. It was, there were mosquitoes and wood ticks. It was a real torture session.
82-year-old Ellen Eldridge, also known as Ms. July, is impressed with the men's work.
I like their body. I like the props that they use.
And she's not alone. Tamworth's Men in Hats has sold more than 5,000 copies since August. We're told the men's calendar is sold on virtually every continent. That fact is hard to argue, especially when you flip it over. You see a picture of a guy holding a copy on the South Pole. The women's 2002 calendar continues to sell. Both have raised more than $100,000 for local charities. The men say the experience hasn't changed them. You can still find Mr. June browsing the aisles of the hardware section. But the calendars have had an effect on a town known for having 2 stores right next to each other.
I think it maybe has made people more aware that there's a place called Tamworth.
A place that is definitely not shy about revealing its generous side. Greg Navarro, NECN, Tamworth, New Hampshire.